Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 12th day. This 12th day here. Looks like we're having a little staticky problem. I don't know. It's maybe something up on my green screen there. I might have to get me another one. But anyways, I got the Mad New Yorker going to be here shortly. Remember last week we were talking about the fact that he was doing the Pokemon thing. I may ask him about that when he comes on the program. But anyways, as predicted yesterday, I thought that the Pacers would win Game 3. Listen, they just know how to win tight games, you know. Going to talk about that. There was a story yesterday. Didn't get a chance to get to it. It's not really a story. Nobody's really talking about it per se. But Brian Callahan of the Tennessee Titans talked about in the press conference about he's very casual about Cam Ward trash talking the teammates when he was putting the play in. I think that's something that most people's not going to say it's not anything. I'm not one of those people. I'll explain after the break. But first, let's take our first and only break. I'll be back here, hopefully, within the next few minutes with the Mad New Yorker, and we will hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to Sports, that is Sports with an S, another S, Scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then. Now I'm back here live. Like I said, folks, I know there's a little staticky on this screen. I think it's something to do with my I've had to adjust my green screen here recently, and it's kind of staticky, though. It's nothing wrong with me. It's just a green screen there. Probably have to get me another one. Okay, so last night, 116-107. Pacers get the win. Listen, I mean, this is pretty much right down the middle. You can make the argument that OKC is just not the better team when it comes to these close games. Indiana, ice water in their veins, very good in these close games right here. If you look at the stat line, largest lead for both teams, 9 points in the paint, 50 to 48 there. So it's right down. I mean, you look at rebounding, shooting percentage, everything other than team assists there from the Indiana Pacers seems right down the line. On that note, the Mad New Yorker, let's go ahead and get the crowd ready because he is making sacrifices while live from a hotel room. Now, you're down in New Orleans, right?
I'm in New Orleans. Yes, sir.
The Big Easy. So just a quick update here. How's it going? Has he been in the tournament already?
No, today's the preface of the tournament. We picked up badges for his tournament, picked up some goodie bags, and then practiced a little bit, warmed up a little bit for the tournament. The tournament starts tomorrow. There's a lot of people here, Robert. There's a lot of people, my man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I feel like you're on Karate Kid or something, warming up for the big tournament.
I hope he chops right through the competition, but
man, that's what's up, dude.
Yeah,
that's
what's
up. Last week we were talking about this finals, and I told you I thought it could go 6 games. Wow. Last night I thought the Pacers would win. What's your thoughts? My early sense is the Thunder, they're not very good in close games. The Pacers, ice water in close games. What's your thoughts about last night, man? Good game.
Yeah, it was a good game for the Pacers. They were at home. They did what they needed to do to get through. And Oklahoma just, I feel like they just kept every time they score 4 points, they let Indiana score 6 points. So they need to show up on that defense a little bit more. They need to shoot better shots. I feel like they
Better
were
quality
trying.
shots. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt the quality of shots is really bad, and I just think right now it's the whole being in the tournament, having needing a little bit more fresh, needing some fresher legs, and some of these guys don't look as quick as they should. And
Yeah.
Indiana is doing well by putting everybody, using as many people as possible on the court, and that's a smart move right now, and it's working out in Indiana's favor. But I feel like the talent level and the ability of the Thunder is going to come through at the end, and we'll see if Indiana can hold them off. Good for them. If not, I think the talent level is in favor of OKC, but the Pacers are doing their the diligence, right? They're doing the things that they had to do. So and they're staying out of foul trouble, man. They're doing what they need to do, and they're keeping their noses clean, which is good.
Yeah. I was looking at the stat line. Only edge I would give to a Pacers that really stuck out to me. Obviously, 20. Well, you know what? Would be these team assists here per se. You got 20. I don't know what I got. I'm overlooking stuff here. Here we go. 24-16. You got an 8, and also 13 steals there for the Pacers. There, T.J. McConnell, man, he's like a little pickpocket back there. Kind of reminds me of a good defensive back or a good nickel back out there picking the ball. Team assist. OKC has a tendency, SGA, run up, take the quick shot, run back. That's something that the coach has to look at on tape. A little bit more chemistry there, a lot more trust there with that Indiana team. What's your thoughts about that discrepancy in the team assist there? It kind of looks like a little bit more comfort level with Indiana. Slightly older, though, too, by the way.
Yeah, I just think that the energy level is consistent for Indiana, where it was inconsistent for OKC. So it just feels like it's taking them longer to get into rhythm and pace and to
Yeah,
do things. And because again, Carlisle's using that bench, he's
yeah,
elongating that bench a little bit and allowing guys to get a little bit more rest and allowing the younger guys to be on the court with fresher legs and more speed. And that right now is kind of hindering OKC. But again, that you know, if they can keep this up, then the series it will go 7. Because these guys coming off the bench for Indiana are doing very well. Where if you
yeah,
flip the script, the bench for OKC is not being consistent right now. So I,
yeah.
I I like the energy in the basketball. It causes for a good basketball game, but you know this is I didn't want to see the series go this far, but it's good for the NBA, I guess.
Plus 7 point edge too for the Pacers and fast break point 7 point edge there. Free throw shooting edge. You're going to get that. Shoot a better percentage. You got the home rims. All that makes sense. Benches usually play better at home. So I thought the Pacers would win this game. I still, if I had to do the odds, I would give this a 60-40 in favor of OKC still winning this series. I feel like they're just still the deeper team, still better on the inside. I like the way Chet Holmgren's playing. He's just got to keep it out throughout the whole game, you know? So I'm still picking OK. I think that Friday night's going to be huge tomorrow, by the way. I mean, what if the Indiana wins tomorrow night? I mean, they're like a 4 seed. This would be a really amazing. It's over if they win.
Well,
You know,
I,
go
I
ahead.
I just think right now we just gotta let it play out, let them have fun, and let them let's see what we can get. And again, I would never bet on this series, to be honest with you. And
It's
you
hard to
could
get a
tell,
feel for it, ain't it?
right, and you could tell too because I've already said that I felt like the OKC would sweep, and they haven't. And again, it's good for basketball if you like to see the competition, and you don't want the season to end. So the
No, I
NBA
don't.
At the end, the NBA they will reap the benefits of having basketball on TV a little longer. So you make money off them commercials, man.
Well, I mean, it was low ratings for game one,
Mm-hmm.
record low ratings. This is being painted, and I know a lot of the media people's talking about it as a boring series. I was not one of those people. I saw how good Indiana's been playing since the Cleveland series. I thought this game, and I think it's picking up momentum now because now you got the critical game 4 coming up. I think OKC. I don't think OKC's lost 2 games in a row in a long time.
Right, and even if you looked at the record when they played Indiana, Indiana didn't beat them either. So it was it, it,
2-0. Yeah, they're in
right
the
now if
regular
you're an
season.
OKC fan, you're kind of like a little bit nervous. You're getting nervous, and that's
Well, they
just
got up to a 9-point lead early in this particular. I just watched it a few minutes ago. I was finishing up. They got off to a 9-point lead early in this particular game last night. There's not been too many games they've been blown out, other than I'm going to say Game 3 against the Minnesota. Of course, they won that series in 5. They're young, their minds drift. That's why I thought maybe just go 5-6 games. Well, I actually picked it in 6.
Mm-hmm.
I think Oklahoma City's going to win tomorrow night, and I think they're going to win out. But we'll see. That will still be a 6-game series. I'd love to see it, like you said, see it go 7 because we got a long drought there. I mean, the NBA drought to be okay. It was like a one-day story. But then we got that long drought between then and the start of the NFL. Of course, hopefully, Caitlin Clark will come back. Speaking of Indiana, did you hear that story about, she's been out with like a quad injury.
Right.
58% ratings drop since she's been out.
Amazing, isn't it? You would think that they would give her a bigger paycheck now.
Oh, well, we lost him. He went to the abyss. Worst case, he can call back. I don't know what happened to him. No, but 50-something% ratings drop. I thought that was really interesting for Caitlin Clark. Speaking, he's popped back. Tupac is back.
Oh man, this Louisiana's nice, but the internet is.
Yeah, hey, well, there's a lot of haunted houses down there. Maybe a haunted hotel, Chief.
I got a good rate. It probably is.
Got a good rate. Well, they bury the bodies above land because of the sea level stuff. And anyways, I just thought I'd throw that in there. Speaking of Indiana and OKC, another big story, man. People are downplaying this. I'm not one of those people. I think it's huge that there's been a ruling last week. The schools can pay the players directly.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
There's going to be salary caps and everything, like $21.5 million. Talked about it last week or yesterday on yesterday's program. I think it's going to create some more stability. Players going to be locked into contracts instead of this crazy jumping around. It'll lead to more restrictions on the transfer portal. And plus the NIL, it's going to be actual name, image, and likeness, not, hey, we're going to give you a commercial if you come to school X. So what do you think about this rule? I thought it gets huge, man.
Yeah, I think it's good for the teams that are the basketball and football teams that need to get this their numbers, their scholarship, their players paid out, and organized. It's going to help the athletic directors and the coaches. It's going to eliminate the possibility of people jumping around, which is important because you make a deal in real life, you got to stick to it, man. In the real world, you can't just be making 2 or 3 deals and then just hoping that one of them pan out. That's
right.
Not how that works. So these young kids, these young guys who making money, these young ladies, they're gonna see what it is to be like how business should be run. When you do a contract, you got to stick with it, and you got to do your due diligence to do what it takes to make sure that you fulfill that contract. So, and like you said, it's a lot better than having someone say, "Hey, I'm going to give you one TV commercial, and here's, $20 million to play for my school for 2 years." And it also helps the universities make sure and manage budgets, like that they make sure they know what they need and how much they need, and they're not going crazy. You know, for different sports, different monies, and so at the end of the day, I think it would just kind of calm the waters a little bit. But NIL is still going to be one of those things that's going to be hard to just stabilize. So
Yeah, yeah. Urban Meyer's very cynical. He said he's cautiously optimistic. Paul Feinbaum's very cynical of this and saying it's not going to mean anything. I think they're a little bit over the top. They're from a different generation. They probably didn't want it to get to this point. Uh, a lot of the older generations don't like all this change. I think it's great. I think it's good for TV. I like the alignment of these divisions. We got better football. I mean, listen, we went to a small school. I'm
hmm
just now paying back. Dude, I've owed about $1,600 on my school loan out of $57,000. You know, we went to a small school. I'm totally okay with that. You know,
yeah,
I wish I would have got a scholarship. I would 19 years. I mean, that's pretty cool, you know.
right.
But I guess my thing is I'm okay with the change. And I was talking to about this with an Uber rider. Look at the money that's generated. Look at the explosion of college football. How much more money has been generated through
hmm
TV deals. I mean, college football is second only NFL as far as ratings, man. You know, they're beating out the NBA and Major League Baseball. I never thought it would get to that, but then again, I love football to watch over the other sports. Um, what are your thoughts about the cynicism? I mean, do you think this is going to fall apart, or do you think it's going to stay stable and continue to build on what they're doing right now?
I think it's right for those who are not on that part of the deal on the table, receiving on the receiving end, right?
Yeah,
Because you're looking at it like, well, then how does the media make money? How do people write in sports? How do people in the recording sports in that retrospect? How are they making money? And are they going to
yeah,
be part of this deal? Because I think that's another thing. The trickle down effect needs to happen. And if it doesn't happen, then it's gonna you're gonna get the cynicism. You're gonna get the piss poor outlook that people have of what's going on, because at the end of the day the money doesn't fall from the top, it just stays there, and you don't want that to happen because everybody's a part of this, so everybody wants to have the hand in the cookie jar, my man.
yeah. That's true.
And so when you don't get to taste the chocolate chip, you're just like, this is just a cookie, and that's not what you're looking for. So that's why it's there. That's why people, we're part of the media and stuff, but we know where we're at as fans, and we're doing this as far, like, it's not a hobby, but we're doing this for fun, like
Yeah, we ain't got any cash yet.
yeah, so it's
Hopefully, we'll
not,
get the millions.
but you talking about people like Feinbaum and some of these coaches that are sportcasters, and they're
Yeah,
in it. They've got representation that they have to pay to have help them get bigger deals. So that's part of it, right? Everybody wants to put their hand in the cookie jar, and we'll see how many cookies is being baked, bro. So you know we'll
I just
we'll see.
think this is the start of something that will stop that Nico situation that happened where, I mean, the guy's not worth $4 million. He's making $2 million. He jumps the gun, and now he's making half of what he was making at a worse school with the
Right.
worst, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like there's always going to be that situation, even if it wasn't NIL, right? That happened with a lot of scholarship players. You redshirt guys, you thinking that
Mm-hmm.
they're 5-star athletes, and then you redshirt them, and then you know what? All of a sudden they're injured, they don't come back, they go to another school, this and that. Like, there's always going to be those kind of situations, but the the most important thing is that when you sign a contract for NIL, and it's something that you have to fulfill. Like, you can't just be like, oh well, yeah, it didn't work out, I'm gonna go from Tennessee to Arkansas to UCLA to wherever, because that contract is then nil void, because part of the likeness and the image is you representing that university that you were with before when you signed that contract.
Right.
So that's a lot of the situation. um this guy Caleb Williams had to give money back because he transferred, right? And people don't talk about it, but it's reality. So he didn't make as
Yeah.
much as he could have made had he just stayed in one place. But he's in the NFL now, and he's making money, and he made money through
Yeah.
NIL. So,
And he
you
made
know,
it back at USC. Yeah, he transferred from Oklahoma. He followed the coach there. I do think that you should be able to lock these guys in to these 2-year deals. The school's paying you directly, anyways.
right.
Obviously, there would be exceptions if the coach leaves,
Mhm.
or if the coach grants the transfer. If somebody just flat out beats the kid out, you know, and then
Yeah,
the coach be able to grant the transfer. I think that's fair.
right. You mentioned a good point. Like, you might be a 5-star, and you might be coming in as a highly rated, uh, highly rated in your position. But if you get beat out of your position, man, or you get injured, like, that contract is still there. You don't That doesn't get voided. You still have to be doing your part as far as
Yeah,
commercials, appearances, or whatever it is that you agree to. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
like, that doesn't stop, and the money will stop. There will be a system. There'll be lawyers on the other end saying, "Hey, this guy's not fulfilling this contract, so
yeah.
we'll make sure we get our money
Not
back."
unless the coach grants a transfer. You know, it says, "Hey,
Right.
look, we don't want the bad chemistry here. I understand that, and I think it's more than fair. These kids got to work for something now. Geez, I mean,
Yeah, man. I look.
it's a wild west out there, right? You know, I think Arkansas suing the Nico family for his brother committing to Arkansas, getting the NIL money, and then transferred, not wanting to give the money back. He transferred also to UCLA.
Yeah,
I
I
mean, that
mean,
was a
look.
story a few weeks ago.
These deals are everybody wants a deal, but then when they have to break that deal, nobody wants to listen to it. So, you can't have the best of both worlds, So,
Right. Yeah, that's a wild stuff. I almost forgot. What's your thoughts about this coaching search, man? Man, with I mean, Billy Donovan turned them down. Why are the Knicks trying to hire coaches from other teams? That looks so desperate and unprepared. What's your thoughts about that, man?
I I think that um it's important for fans of the Knicks to just be patient, and um not worry about what's going on until everything happens at the end, like until you get a signed deal. Because we have fans, we all want somebody different. Maybe we all have our high picks that we want as coach, but the reality is that the team is at a decent situation right now, and they have to get better. And if these moves they made to make these teams better, guess what? The coach still was not going to matter, and there's not going to be a guy who's in the right mind want to coach the Knicks if the situation gets worse. So, you know, them letting go Tibbs, they gave him 5 years. He didn't get a championship, and that's the only way you should look at it. If you coach the Knicks, the expectation is that there should be a championship coming in, and if you're applying for a job or you're looking for a job to be in the coach, that should be the only way you should look at it.
Yeah. So
If you're the
you were okay with the firing. I know we had some sound issues last week. You're okay with them firing Thibodeau?
Yes, I'm all right with that. I'm now.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, me too. Like I said.
I want there to be a consistency, though. There needs to be some kind of plan that Dolan's doing. That he needs to create something to make sure that the next few steps he sets up will allow them to be able to move forward and not stay in the middle or backwards.
Yeah.
Hearing these names like Durant, even Giannis. Like, yeah, those are players that'd be nice to have to sell
Yeah.
tickets to Madison Square Garden, and to, like, give a small edge in the game. But we don't need that. We don't need those things. What the Knicks need is is to stay relevant, is to be able to run, gun, and make points, and and try to play defense, and you can't go backwards, man. You can't. And
Yeah.
I like, and it's good to every once in a while have that senior leadership, but to what extent, and to what cost, right?
Yeah.
And if you're talking about putting someone on a team that can't play with Brunson and is an older player, like, then you should just stick with Cats, and you should have just played it out with Thibodeau. Like, Like you wasn't
Yeah.
you need to get better. You need to move forward. And I get it. People they want they want to see the big star in the limelight, and they want to be proud about having been able to get some of these players. But some of these players, we don't. The Knicks should not be looking to getting any like having a big three, or because that's not the way we win championships anymore. That's not a way to think
Right.
anymore.
It's big on depth now, team chemistry.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and Dolan should, and I don't know if people will agree with me. I feel like Rose should be let go, and Dolan should pick up a basketball manager, a basketball mindset, a basketball personnel to run the Knicks.
So
To
who is more to blame, Rose or Thibodeau? Because Rose, Keith
I
Engel
think
says, listen, he brought in Carl Anthony Towns and his lack of defense.
he did. And I the what I could say is that the Knicks didn't move. They moved up, but they didn't move over and win, and so they're both to blame. You have to take the blame. You have to be accountable for the decisions that you make as an owner and also as a leader of a GM.
So you're
So
saying it's an equal blame?
yeah, of course. And I sit here. I don't have money to buy personnel, and I'm not the owner of the Knicks. But as a fan, as someone watching basketball and wanting my team to win and see a championship, we haven't gotten that. And we
Yeah.
just because you come close and you smell it and you feel it, that doesn't mean that you did it and achieved it. So it's time to achieve things. And if you don't get that kind of leadership and mindset, then what are you doing? What are you working for? Like, what are you as an owner? What's the deal?
Yeah.
And if
Do
such
you think
something is
that's scaring off candidates that now it's leaked out pretty much that Dolan made this call and not Leon Rose to let Thibodeau go? Tibbs go?
to be honest with you, what I feel like, and if you're sitting there as a personnel making to be in the personnel of the administration, working with the administration of the Knicks and the management and being with the team of the Knicks, the only thing that would scare me off, to be honest with you, is the fact that as a coach, as a head coach, is that my GM has to understand basketball, has to know basketball.
Yeah.
Like if he doesn't and he can't ride or die with me and get me what I need and get what we can do working together and fulfill, a championship run, I I'm not gonna be on that team. And they ask guys like, they've had some of these candidates like Wright and, some this what's his name from Connecticut. Like they've had these guys. They know basketball. Then some of these college guys, it's easier for them to
Yeah.
stay in the college realm because the ads are going to give them what they need and they're going to help them out. And they're basketball guys. They understand the
Dan
game.
Hurley, is that who he's trying to
Yeah,
talk about? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, Hurley and Wright, they understand the game and they understand the college game. And they
Yeah.
understand that the college game is different than the NBA game. So, and they understand now what the game is at the NBA, and it's going to be hard to be among men, coaching men, and then also being able to have to guide them and go through a championship run when you have to deal with egos, family matters, and different things. This is a different world, man. And you can't blame them for
Are you
not wanting to
surprised
jump.
that did Jay Wright turn the job down?
No, I told you I've told you and I've heard and there's people that have talked that he's already won a championship with some of these guys. He doesn't want to ruin a relationship with some of these guys that he has because he's coaching them now older and then they can't get a championship ring, right? He can't promise. No guy can go in
He
and be like,
wanted,
we're
he
gonna
wanted
make
to leave the relationship on top,
right,
huh?
right. Not just that, but even
It
as a
can only
coach.
go downhill from here.
Right, even as a coach, he's still on top. As a college coach, he's still got that, and that's a legacy that he can keep. And if he jumps over to the Knicks, he will have to most likely win a championship, and that's a lot to try to take in for somebody who hasn't been in the game for a couple of years and is jumping to a different league where different expectations and a different type of management that you have to do, man. It's not.
Yeah.
That's why that I think that scares off more guys trying to coach. Plus, New York is just a tough town to be in, man, and you got to be tougher than New York to come in here and say, hey, shut your mouths. I'm gonna take care of this the right way, and we're gonna do this the way we're gonna do this, and we're gonna win. and we got
Yeah.
and even if you say that, you have to do that. You can't just say it and be like, okay, we kind of lost, we shouldn't have lost, but because it's
Doesn't
not
this seem like an attractive job though? With
to
this team
who.
chemistry, you've got the crowds there. It just feels like a very attractive job right now.
I
You
think
know,
the money. I think the money's more attractive than the situation, and I think that again that scares a lot of people because you're
do you
going into a
think Dolan, because
situation.
Dolan will play top dollar?
No, well, he's gonna pay you no matter what, but he's paying Tibbs $30 million to not be on the Knicks no more.
Yeah.
Like my thing is this: it's like, is there a Kobe Bryant? Is there a Michael Jordan of coaching right now that could come in and take this team to the promised land?
Yeah,
Answer
I
that
think
question.
Mike Malone would be the only guy. He, I said from the beginning, I thought he should be the number one guy, maybe a Jay
Right,
Wright second, but
right,
you know,
and Mike Malone will never be a coach in New York because he was somebody that takes accountabilities and he will expect accountability from his players, and he would expect it, and he will say it in front of the media, and that's going to be too much. That's too much information going out there for New York media to jump on, and there'll be a train wreck
you're
here. He
saying
will
he'll
be,
run hot quick in New York and get fired,
yeah, because
or,
he'll
or, or
talk
get
about.
himself or quit or something.
No, well, he'll throw maybe a player or two under the bus, and then in New York they won't have that. The media is gonna get he's gonna chomp you up. This isn't where he used to coach. You know what I'm saying? This is New York, and sometimes when even a guy like Popovich couldn't coach in New York because they'd have a field day with him. I mean, they had a field day with him in San Antonio, and he was honest, brutally honest, and in New York he would never get an opportunity to coach because he'd have to be
Yeah,
fighting
he
with the
wasn't
media.
smart off those reporters in New York all the time, the way he
Yeah,
does the ones in
yeah,
San
so
Antonio.
it's
Where he's retired though.
yeah, no, but you know what I'm saying? Like, so I mean, that's the only reason why I don't think this guy who probably has his accolades and has his persona. I don't think he's gonna be the coach in New York. And if he does, good for him. And I would like to see him take up the challenge and win another championship because there's uh there's a blueprint. There just needs to be
Who
more.
who Popovich?
No, Malone.
Oh, Malone. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if
I
he'll
mean, he's
accept
got
that.
the ring. It kind of reminds you of a Rick Carlisle situation where he was fired from, kind of wore thin with Dallas and everything, and he got
Hmm.
fired there. And he had a refreshing opportunity to recharge his batteries, and they look great. They
Can
look like a
can
better coach team at times too. I talked
yeah,
about the team assist with
right.
Indiana.
Yeah, and can Malone not do Malone things and be a productive coach and be a positive coach and help the Knicks become a championship team? Like those are the things that if I'm gonna bring him in as a GM, I'm gonna try to figure out can he not do Malone like things that wouldn't be accepted in the media or in the light of the fans of New York Knicks, and the players, because the players that you gotta at the end of the day, it's the players at the end of the day that you got to worry about. That are they going to follow this guy?
What's your thoughts on them wanting to interview guys like Taylor Jenkins from former Memphis coach?
I think that the search is broad and open, and I think that's a smarter move right now because um, it does sound ridiculous if you just be like, all right, we wanted Jay Wright, and that's the only person we want. And so I feel like them looking for a lot of other coaches and seeing what's available for them is maybe a little bit more helpful for the team, like the guys
Yeah.
that are waiting for a coach, right? Because then it's not like, oh, you guys are just stuck on this guy, and you didn't give nobody else an opportunity. Why should I be? Why should I listen to you? Like so. I think that's a better. It's better to cast a long net right now, especially with the team that you have that has
Okay.
an opportunity.
Okay, you're cool with this. I thought maybe they would have a plan and they would have a taker by now. A little disappointed than the Knicks. I tell you what, if they hire a guy like Darwin Ham, who's also
Oof.
Milwaukee gave him permission to speak also with the Knicks. Ham's a good defensive guy, but that's a lot like um, him and Mike Brown, they're a lot like Thibodeau guys. Don't you
Yeah,
think?
yeah. Listen again, and I wrote an article about it, and about how I feel, my opinion about what the Knicks should do, and I just feel like the person who gets this job has to be ready to go. Like they can't think twice about not maybe they should or they should.
What would your thoughts be if they would that be a successful hire if they hired Darwin Ham?
Now I think one right now there's two people there's three coaches that I think would be helpful for the team the way it is right now, and who I feel like the media would just be okay with in New York, and I like kind of like their leadership skills, and that's um, Mark Jackson because he's from
Okay.
New York. He knows New York. Everybody, he's Mark Jackson. Um, he's a leader among men, and he was able to build
That's your
up that.
number one guy still?
Yeah, he built up
Okay.
Golden State before Stephen Kerr took him over. And
Right.
the second guy is Jason Kidd. He's worked with
Yeah.
a lot of
I
guys, and
think
he's
that's already been denied by
right.
Dallas.
And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
the third, and the only thing I don't like about him is that he's not like New York, but Sam Cassell. Sam Cassell,
Okay,
is
that's a good one. I haven't heard that name in a little while. I thought he would be a good one for Boston. Very good name. I totally forgot about Cassell. Now, Cassell hasn't had head coaching experience, but I'd much rather have a Cassell at 48, 50 years old than a 39-year-old Johnny Bryant assistant there at Cleveland. Yeah, that's a
right,
good name to watch, man. I'll
right.
clip that.
And the only reason, the one, no major reason is that, and New York has a hard, they got hard. It'll be hard for New Yorkers to accept him for what he's done with the Rockets and the Knicks
Yeah.
time for. But is that his basketball mind with will go along with Brunson and also some of the younger guys there that handle the ball, and I feel like he'll be able to make sure that these guys have a plan when they're moving the basketball, like
I think he
Cassell.
played. Yeah, he played the point too, so I think he would be a good. I wouldn't be really down on the Knicks because they were looking for Kidd. You'd like to get a good point guard. It's like having a former coach or quarterback take over your team, like a Jim Harbaugh or somebody, for example, if you're doing football references.
And what I like about Cassell is like he's not going to say anything in the media that is going to come back on him in the negative way. So I feel
Yeah.
like he doesn't get enough credit for that. Like even when he talked about wanting to win a championship in New York as a Houston Rocket, and he said enough to just to not be poster board material. Although there was some things that he said during the game that was poster board material, but he didn't say
Bulletin board material.
yeah,
What would he
bulletin board
say?
material. Yeah, but there wasn't much that he said in the media. So he
Okay.
did talk smack, but a lot of guys talk smack when they play.
Oh, yeah, he's a former player. Yeah,
Yes.
there was some video, and I've talked to you about this before, where he was an assistant with I want to say the 76ers, and he was going over a drill with James Harden. And Harden's like, how come we got to do it over? Because he was going through this layup drill, and he said, because you missed, mother effer. And so
Yeah.
I think you remember that, don't you?
Yeah. So
And Harden's like, okay, like, pay attention, dude. I mean, you're still thinking about the strip club last night. Get your head in practice, Yeah.
no,
I keep forgetting. Like, I just looked his age up. He's 55. Yeah.
Mhm.
Won the championship in '94. Took two championships with Maxwell and Hakeem Olajuwon and Robert Horry with those Houston Rocket teams, and been an assistant for a while. He's long overdue. I think he wouldn't be a reach per se if you hired a guy like that. Now, if I hire Darwin Ham or somebody, I don't have that big an issue with Darwin Ham, but it just feels like a lateral move,
Right.
So, anyways, got to ask you about this other story. It's not really a story. I think it could be an issue. Brian Callahan, the Titans coach, mentioned something the other day during a press conference. The Titans are doing these mandatory mini camps here with Cam Ward. And he said something in regards to, he said it kind of jokingly, but I didn't take it that way. I think that he's a little passive. He was saying that when he was talking to Cam Ward in the helmet, calling the play for practice, Ward is still talking over him and trash talking the defense. And he asked Ward, "Do you need a second?" And Ward said, "No, I can hear you." And then he does the play. Now Ward has got nothing but rave reviews from camp. He's getting there early. He's kicking butt. The other players are really complimenting him. I like Cam Ward, but I've got a sense that you got to look back and say, why would you overtalk the coach if you're a rookie in mini? I know you're number one pick and all that. You know, that tells me he's a little passive here. And there's a lot of coaches that are very good coordinators, Norv Turner, guys like that. This could be a sign that, you know, maybe he's not head coaching material. We'll find out. Plans, everything. This could be nothing. What do you think about that? Is that too much? Am I looking too much into that? Or this could be a telltale sign that maybe this guy might not be head coaching material, and the Titans probably looking for another coach in another year or two.
Right. I never liked this pick either. I think this came in the same time as the Tibbs. Look, it's not a bad thing for the quarterback to and the head coach to josh each other, especially if the head coach is the offensive minded type.
Oh, and when he's calling the plays and stuff
right.
too, yeah.
So the only problem is that to what extent is it in the relationship where then Callahan still has that reach to his players that he has to be respected and he has to be listened to, like so. And then other players too have to understand it, like, you know, oh, he's a QB, he gets to talk to the coach like that, but he's not
right.
He's not disrespecting the coach. They at each other and they trying to make each other better, right? So I'm not there. I haven't seen anything there yet as far as like whether, because he's a rookie anyways. So I feel like
Chad said it was Jeffrey Simmons was trash talking at the time. Okay, that's the lead defensive tackle there. Maybe that's what they were doing. I hope it's nothing. Listen, guys, this could be nothing. This could be nothing, but it also could be a drip effect where I also know that there was a big fight last year, and I had my guy Rich Ferris on, and he said he lost. He really blew up on the team. Callahan did, per se.
Right.
And I thought to myself, it's because he's so mild-mannered that it had to lead up to that, rather than just having one tone here, like a Gruden, like a Parcells, where could you imagine a rook? Can you imagine Phil? I know that's a different era. Phil Simms telling Bill Parcells, not listening to Bill Parcells and trash talking one of the defense. Now, of course, Parcells don't call plays.
Right.
He doesn't call plays. But can you imagine that?
Right. So when I hear this, I just can only reckon back to a couple of relationships, which is like Brett Favre and Holmgren, right?
Yes.
And even Brett Favre with Mirarucci before, when Holmgren was
man, you got a good memory, yeah.
Like, I'm not dealing with this guy, Mirarucci. You go ahead and just take over the calls, and I can't stand Brett Favre right now. Anyways, so
Andy Reid used to be his offensive coordinator,
and Andy Reid, yeah. So those guys they all used to mess around and talk smack to each other, but there was a level of respect there, and they knew that, you know, they knew who the coach was at the end. So I feel like you got to get your coordinator in there and make sure that he's the one that's Joshua with the quarterback and not the head coach, because the head coach has to.
Right. Now he is calling plays, so
I know that's and to me, I dislike that anyways. And look, you know,
that's a controversial thing to do for have the head coach call plays. Yeah, even for Andy Reid sometimes, but Reid still does it. I want to say.
Oh yeah, he can always over talk over in a situation. Listen, we come from the school and the perspective like a Bill Belichick, and he has other guys that call plays and do things, and then he at the end he'll put the hammer down on what he needs at the end, and that doesn't happen much lately. I don't see that happening much lately in a lot of teams. Maybe a few teams that still have that like you said,
Yeah.
Kansas City.
This may, yeah, and it may come back and bite. That's a different
Yeah,
topic, but that it very well may come back and bite Callahan. The fact that he is calling plays. I will say this in proper, just to give, look at it from the other perspective. We saw this on film when Travis Kelce body bumped Andy Reid. He was a little too emotional in the game and whatnot. You could say, well, the respect was established. I think Travis knows that he got a little too excited and overstepped his boundaries. So it can still be successful if that relationship's like that. And of course, Brian Callahan said, if I think it was a problem, I would have said something to Cam Ward. I just think what would give Cam Ward the idea, because he's so passive, to give him the idea to even think, okay, let me cut this off for Simmons for a second. Let me get the call into the from the head coach there. Then I'll let the team know. Then I'll take a jab at Jeff Simmons. Now I do know that in a game, you would have Brett Favre would go back and forth with Warren Sapp.
Right.
Hopefully this is nothing, but I think everything is something. His dad is coaching on the team, Bill Callahan. Bill Callahan's around our dad's age, I think, and he's about our age. He's younger than us. Me and you are older than him. He's like 40, I think, 41 years old. I think Bill, Mr. Callahan needs to call him to the side and say, you got to nip this in the bud. This is right now is the time to nip it in the bud. For example, I don't know if you heard about this. Ben Johnson, I heard this on Fox Sports the other day. Ryan Williams. What's his name? Caleb Williams. I kept Ryan Williams. I don't know why I keep calling that guy Ryan Williams. The quarterback for the Bears, he didn't know the play. He forgot the play. And Ben Johnson's like, no, you got to know the play. I should tell you, I already told you to play. So they had to delay a game, and Johnson saying, well, this is where we got to iron this stuff out. He coaches a little harder than a Brian Callahan, per se. So that's a little bit of opposite side of things. You said you did not like this hire. Do you think this is not going to work out at this point? Now, it's only year 2 for Callahan. What's your thoughts on Callahan evaluation? Year 2 mini count.
Right now, everything is like wait and see until we get going to the regular season. You want to see if there's a transition that Cam Ward can make, even for the first 5 games. I'll give the kid 5 games. And we'll see what he can do. But I mean, the relationships, man, they can fall apart faster than they begin. So, we need to be very careful on what's said also in the media, because can't make everything, like you said, everything's something, but we can't make everything big. We have to be. Now that they're starting over again with a new quarterback, it's a wait and see thing, and there has to be some kind of patience in there as well. And look, if he's out there, smack talking to one of the biggest guys in the defense, and if I was the coordinator or the head coach, I'd be like, all right, I like this. You gotta listen, but I like this. Maybe you give him a little bit of that leeway, but you need that kind of confidence, man. I don't know if you heard that from about other guys before, and that's good. And they keep comparing this guy to Steve McNair. If that's going to happen,
yeah,
I feel like if that's going to happen, and this is just me, if I was going to be a part of that coaching staff, like, the head coach can't be calling plays, man. Just give it to a coordinator. Let them,
You're more upset about that than you are the fact that he overtalked the coach. Yeah.
Yeah, because the problem is that there has to be.
And you got a good point there. He probably shouldn't be calling the plays.
This is why
OC need to be calling them plays, man.
Yeah, it's a perception thing, man. And also, like, if that's the reason why the CEO is on the top of the building and all the other workers are in between different floors, right? Because the CEO is like, that's the owner of the company. Like, everybody's gonna have to go up and see him. And if you don't have like a distinction and you don't build, that kind of that you have to connect with him on another level, then that's tough, man. It's tough, and this is why coaches they try to be your buddy, your friend, your mentor, but sometimes
That's exactly what I'm worried about.
yeah.
We've had our guy. Oh, geez, what's his name? Coach here. Now
Who?
mine's went blank. Our guy from Austin P. Kevin Carroll. Coach Carroll
Sure.
says his biggest criticism of Cam Ward is he does too much stuff off script. Well, that's got to be coached out of him to stick with the play.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big knock on Caleb. Speaking of Caleb Williams, that was a knock on him, trying to go too much off script.
Right.
So this guy being a passive head coach here, getting a very talented, very hardworking player, but he is a player that does a lot of stuff off script in Cam Ward. This could be a recipe for a disaster. It's a legit criticism. Listen, folks, I'm not a cheerleader. I praise the Titans. Some people said I praise them too much. I have praised the Titans. I praise them for what they've done. But I'm just saying, when you've got a guy that's had a lot of bad habits, and then you got a passive coach like there, what does that? I mean, that don't look good at all, man.
Right.
But winning cures all. I mean, everything's everything. I mean, you start winning. We're talking about the Titans winning. Steve McNair went off script a lot.
Yeah, and like I said, when your first 5 games pass, you're gonna see what this kid is made of, and
Yeah.
you not whether you still call him the kid or you call him up, that's your captain, right? I think that's what the different distinction is too, right? The players are like, oh, this kid, but when he, this guy Jaden Daniels in Washington, everybody's like, oh, this kid's good, but now he's not the kid now, man. He's the captain and he's the man. So, and that happened because of the first, few games that he had, and he was able to pull it away. So that's the kind of like progression that you want to see, right? You want to these guys all calling him a kid because he's a rook, but then you want to make sure that he's being called the man at, towards the end of the season, like so.
Yeah.
And if you're a coach, if you're the head coach, that's you want progression, you want leadership. But I'm not sure. And don't get me wrong, I'm not sure if you want to be the one mentoring and being that one. If that's his skill level in offense and play calling, if that's the reason why you got him, Callahan, if that's the reason why he's there, fine. But I don't feel like that's. I feel like maybe you could put in somebody else and and just and you guys be on and just have some kind of separation, especially the Titans are a younger team, so
separation of coach and player, like
you have to have a distinction.
Head coach and quarterback, like separation of church and state, huh?
Yeah, you have to have a distinction. There has to be a distinction between these guys, and Callahan should be able to call 4 guys and be like, okay, light blue team against white team, okay, and then the coaches do their thing, and then he should say, okay, timeout, 2 minute. Then he could jump in and be like, all right, guys, enough of this BS. 2 minute drill. Let's run this thing. And then call people. I'll be like, why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? This is 2 minute drill. Blah blah blah. And then step out. And then the coaches should go back and fix all those things, right? Like he shouldn't be like, all right, guys, this is the play. This is what we're gonna run. He shouldn't. I feel like that will be like you never saw coaches like Gruden do that. You never see Belichick do that. Like these coaches are high level coaches. You never seen them be like that. You always seen them delegating, and I feel like that little distinction and separation is important. So like this guy in Pittsburgh, he don't coach like that.
Yeah, but he's about burned out. Hey, do you have anything you need to plug, Chief?
No, right now I'm just enjoying my time with my son here at the championship. Enjoying trying to watch some of these. The World Cup's coming next season, so we everybody's getting ready for these qualifying games and watching these things happen, and it's a lot of sports going on. Don't just think that you got to wait for football season to start. So.
Oh, you got the big 3 going on, and There's some baseball. We'll touch on a little. We'll get a baseball report from
New York baseball is doing great right now. Everybody's thumbs up, even on both boroughs. Everybody in the Bronx is happy, and everybody in Queens is happy. So right now, it's a good time for New York baseball, man. It's just like it makes the summer hot, muggy, and disgusting in New York if your teams ain't winning. It just makes the weather
Both
just
teams are in
becomes.
first place, aren't they?
Yeah, and it just becomes one of those things like the weather wins out the sports, and you're just like upset about it all. And not this year. This year we're all like positive, making plans about the beach, and even if it rains, it don't matter. New York baseball when they're winning, man, it's a beautiful thing, man.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, got to do it in the postseason, but it keeps the summer flowing. America's pastime. Bad New Yorker, hey, I appreciate you coming on. Next week, update us on what happened at this tournament, man. We got to get a W there for your son, man. And he's got to win that karate trophy.
Yeah, no, he's getting wins. He's just slowly getting into the top, and sometimes it just takes patience, but he'll make it happen. I have a confidence in him.
Yeah, you're getting this experience, and he's getting his reps in, his Pokemon reps.
Yeah, man, it's a tougher game than it looks like, man. It's like that spelling bee on ESPN. You think you spell all the words with the little kids,
yeah.
But then they be spelling those big words, and you'd be like, I didn't even know that was a word. So
the spelling bee's hard. I couldn't have. Yeah. I would have got destroyed watching that thing. You got to study, man.
Yeah, man.
So, Bad New Yorker, everybody. Appreciate you, brother. Folks, we'll be back next week here on the Real Sports. I may have a guest next week. I'm going to ask this guy, George Visker, who wants to come on the program. He's going to plug his book, former 49er. He's had 3 brain surgeries and whatnot. He's really, really tough guy, 81 years old, wants to come on the program and talk about that. He's a lot of stuff he's overcame. Hopefully I can get him on Wednesday around 7:30. So have a good weekend, everybody. We'll definitely be talking about this NBA Finals and more here on the Real Sports Go.